Hello and welcome to a scene for Vampire by Gaslight. Today, at the Fortescue Mansion, Mr. Crispin is visiting his nephew, who is quite happily sitting outside the stables, showing his uncle that he has been studying how to learn to read. He can now read some of the words on this piece of paper that he's been showing Mr. Crispin. And while the two of them are sitting there, they notice a police officer come up and knock on the front door. And they can overhear the fact that he asks for Mr. Crispin Fortescue. Mr. Crispin Fortescue? Mr. Christian Fortescue. And that he won't give the maid a message, and he insists on waiting.
Where's Christian at this point? He'll be in his study, and he'll come out. And
he'll recognise this constable.
He tells the maid or whoever answers the door to let the policeman in, and beckons the policeman to his study.
And the policeman will go in into the study, where he can no longer be overheard, but we'll figure that bit out in a minute. So there's been a few more incidents.
A few? Christian raises his eyebrow.
It's hard to tell exactly how many in the same place. Not the same place as before, but yes, there's been an incident with multiple individuals.
What do we know?
I've got the address. The first constable to arrive on the scene has been quietly escorted to the pub for several stiffening brandies, which, given how white and face he was looking, he really needs.
Have the bodies been cleared?
No, since I've been told that you're on the case, I came immediately.
Very well, I will come as soon as I can.
And I'll hand over the scrap of paper with the address on it.
Christian takes it and puts it in his pocket before going to the back of his chair and putting on his jacket and his hat and adorning his leather gloves. He steps out of the study, going towards the stairs, and he looks up them briefly before pausing. You can tell your superior I'll be down as soon as I can. I just have to speak to somebody first.
He gives a brisk nod and he heads off outside to his bicycle.
Christian walks down the corridor towards the servants' quarters, where Mr. Crispin is with his nephew. And
I'm sorry, I thought we were at this in the stables.
oh, at the stables then.
Yep, because I figured that way you could go and ask his nephew to saddle your horse at the same time as talking to him.
Well, I'm going to ride my horse to the scene, am I?
I don't know, you could do.
To the pub!
No, the other guy has been taken to the pub. Not at
I
the
think
pub.
it'd be quite appropriate,
The
really.
scene's not at the pub. The first officer on the scene has been.
I know, I was just being silly. Right, okay.
What's better is the horse knows his way home for when he's completely and utterly, totally drunk. He just gets on.
The things that these horses have seen, my God.
Most horses do know their way home, to be fair. Yes.
Anyway, the harrowing thoughts of the horses aside, Christian approaches. Concentration. Christian approaches the stables and he will go to Mr. Crispin.
At this point, Roger is sort of giving his nephew the attention that is due. He is being a very attentive uncle. At the sight of Christian, he'll very politely excuse himself from his nephew, stand up, and offer a very pleasant bow, and say, "Good evening, sir. Is there something you might need my assistance with?"
I'm unfortunate to inform you, Mr. Crispin, that there have been some more incidents.
Ugh. Bother.
I would not hasten upon you to accompany me if it would make you uncomfortable. I understand that it may be the sight that we come upon may be unsettling, disturbing.
Mm, well, I owe it to my sister to help however I can to bring these brigands to justice. Um, he'll turn to his nephew and say, if you don't mind, young master, we can continue this at another point." And he'll give a very affectionate rub of the head to his nephew. "If you'd be so kind as to saddle Mr. Christian's horse, I'll follow behind." And Roger will give a brief touch of his hat and head off to his carriage. "If you could tell me whereabouts the scene is, I'll meet you there, sir."
I think I might join in the carriage. I'm trying to not be quite so noticeable.
"Fair enough, sir. Please."
He takes the address out of his pocket and goes with Mr. Crispin towards the carriage, where he hands the address to the driver.
"Onward, sir, if you please." And he'll give a tap of his cane, a very polite one, not an obnoxious one.
You actually end up going somewhere quite close to the opposite end of the city. It's a relatively middle class but a little bit run down kind of an area. Definitely better than most of the working class can afford, but this is the kind of place where people might have one servant rather than a lot of servants. And the address is for one of the houses. You're actually only about 3 streets away from Sir Trant's asylum. But that's more to do with the kind of area that he's in and the kind of area that this has happened in. Not that you know that. But yes, you're about 3 streets away from Sir Trant's asylum. And from the outside, it looks like a perfectly ordinary house. Except for the fact that there is a police constable standing outside of it.
And I'll step out and step to the side for Christian.
Christian steps out and he looks around before very slowly walking in the direction of the crime scene.
Before doing the same, Roger will give some money to the driver, asking him to come back in a few moments. Just so
I'm a
that
bit confused about how long a few moments will be, but yes.
insert appropriate time increment.
You don't know appropriate time increment.
Fair enough.
I don't know appropriate time increment. I don't know how long you're going to be able to stand looking at all of this.
Give me an hour.
Okay.
So, whereabouts is it fairly obvious where the actual crime scene is, or is it just...
From the outside, it looks like a house. The constable is standing outside the house. He looks like he's been there a while. There's a slight smell from inside. But given that the windows and the doors are currently closed, it's hard to tell exactly from outside.
Christian will nod to the police officer as he heads in.
And he'll receive a nod back.
Roger will step forward and announce himself and look to Christian to verify as he doesn't want to break protocol.
Christian turns and says, "Mr. Crispin is assisting me today."
The constable gives a nod. Very good, sir.
And I will walk in step with Mr. Crispin.
Christian will colour his nose.
Yep, the door is unlocked,
Uh-huh.
but as soon as you step inside, you can see the signs of what has been happening. There's a bloody handprint or two on the wallpaper. There's what looks like a rib cage lying discarded near the bottom of the stairs. There's several feet. You can tell that there was quite a few more than one person. How many is a bit tricky to tell, but there's quite a lot of feet.
And the bits and pieces of them are discarded around the room, I presume.
There's fairly few of them in the hallway itself, but in the rooms off the hallway, it's a bit less hidden. But yes, best guess is it's going to be somewhere between somewhere in the low double figures.
Fucking hell.
But interestingly, there is no heads. It's hard to tell whether the heads have been removed from the bodies or the bodies were removed from the heads. But yes, there's feet, there's arms, there's rib cages, but no heads.
Christian goes up to one of the pairs of feet.
And
or one of the feet.
No lungs or hearts either. A little odd. There's some internal organs, but not nearly as many as you'd think there would be.
This was a willpower roll, and if you deem this as an acceptable amount, I have 3 successes. All you see is that Roger sort of crosses himself, and he continues forward very purposefully.
I think he's going to end up looking fairly pale and maybe slightly sweaty, but he hasn't thrown up, so that's a good sign.
Christian goes to one of the pairs of feet, or one of the feet, and places his hand on it, and despite his better judgment, enables the spirit's touch. With 2 successes.
Okay. You're going to feel ecstasy from this foot. It's hard to get the context because there's such a jumble of emotions here, but you can recognise the feeling of the kiss. The foot, this particular foot at least, was removed while a person was under the influence of the kiss.
Very well. He stands up. He
I should also note there's surprisingly little blood around. Or at least surprisingly for Mr. Crispin.
Christian, he writes down some notes on a piece of paper.
How very strange. So much carnage and so little blood.
Because there's bloody handprints and there's a bit of drag marks here and there where someone has clearly moved something from one area to another for some purpose or another. There's no pools of blood, and you would definitely expect there to be.
Can I do a general intelligence investigation to...
Yeah, I was just going to do a perception investigation roll.
Yep.
Ooh.
So is that okay for the both of us?
Yes. Whether you use intelligence or perception depends on what you're specifically trying to do.
Oh,
if you're trying to work out the lack of blood and possible correlations, that would probably be more intelligence occult.
Okay.
But if you're, because, that's kind of vampiric associations. But
Yeah.
if you're just trying to find out more mundane things, then that would be perception.
Well, I think what he's going to do first is I do want to do a roll for the occult thing eventually, but he's sort of, I guess, almost trying to reach for a... Have either of you ever seen the show Criminal Minds, where they kind of map out what might have happened at the scene? So yeah, he's essentially working toward that.
Okay. Well, if you give me a roll, I'll see what clues I can throw your way.
Okay. Sorry, just a second. So, intelligence...
Perception. Perception investigation to notice things.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Intelligence is more working things out after you've noticed them.
Fair enough. Yes, of course. Sorry, I'm just trying to find it. Performance, no.
Perception's in the top section, and investigation is in the bottom section. Both of them are the third column along.
Thank you. So that is a total of 6. Using a point of willpower. Okay, so that's 2, including the point of willpower.
Okay. Right, Mr. Crispin is going to notice that there are no hearts, there are no lungs. Whilst a lot of the guts has been discarded, Not much. The livers aren't there either. Seems like a lot of the internal organs are missing, as well as the heads.
Mm.
But the rib cages are here. The arms, the legs.
Okay, so there's a couple of things that I kind of want to expand on.
Meanwhile, with her 4 successes,
Nice.
Lisa is also going to notice that the rib cages aren't broken. They look almost like they've been slipped off, like someone taking off extra clothing.
Yes.
They seem slightly wider than they should be near the top, but not so much that it's immediately apparent that something's been done to them, but enough that it's a bit of a coincidence that all of them would have this. You know, it's within the variance of human normality, but it's towards the kind of extreme end, and you wouldn't expect all of these rib cages to be displaying this.
Right.
Also, the limbs seem to have been removed very cleanly. I mean, there's no saw marks, there's no knife marks. It's almost like they just fell off. So now, what were you saying that Roger was going to be doing?
Actually, since Christian got the higher amount of successes, why don't you go first there, Christian?
Christian makes a few notes and then he goes out to the front door where the constable is and folds the piece of paper over and says, that this information needs to be relayed to the station.
He nods. Top priority or when I check in?
Top priority.
And he sets off jogging. Because he was supposed to be guarding this door, but if you say it's top priority, then it's top priority. So he's heading towards the police station.
The thing is, what the note says is that the person they're looking for is well-educated, wealthy, and has extensive medical knowledge. Check on people with doctors' practices and laboratories in the city. Private areas where dissections and mutilations can take place without interruption.
Are you going to explore upstairs?
Yes.
Upstairs, it seems like there's a lot more. There's a lot more of the same, but it seems like some rooms have been purposefully avoided.
Which rooms have been purposely avoided?
The nursery. The nursery has been entirely avoided. There's no sign that anyone, and you may note that the pieces that you found so far all seem to be men. grown men. On some of these pieces, it's fairly obvious.
That's a polite British way of saying some of these pieces are sexual organs.
Yes.
Uh, hmm.
Yeah, they all seem to be men. But the nursery clearly belongs to a female child. It's pale blue all over the walls. Little dolls in dresses. Lace frills.
Right.
Judging by the amount of decay, the bodies that are upstairs have been there longer than the ones that are downstairs.
Christian's going to come down and go over to Mr. Crispin. What's he doing?
So, first of all, he's sort of trying to gauge, as I said, the order of events, as it were. Probably wants to examine the feet to see if any of the cuts might indicate a left-handed person or a right-handed person, that sort of thing.
There's no cuts. That is something that you will notice.
There's no cuts.
It's clean. It's just a straight stop. So it goes so far and then it stops.
So as if someone has torn it off.
Nope, because torn is a jagged edge. Cuts is also a jagged edge. It's just you can see where the knife is. It's smoother if it's cut, but you can still kind of see the serrations. This is just smooth, completely smooth.
What about indentations from hands, like any sign that a hand was set on the skin or anything?
It seems probable that something was at some point, but nothing that's left any marks.
That's weird.
Like I said, it just goes so far and then it stops.
Oh yeah. It's just at the moment he's thinking that's kind of weird. So yeah, he's gonna try and formulate an order of events. Maybe with especially the lack of blood, get an inkling that something occult might be going on here.
Oh, it definitely seems weird. Definitely seems weird.
So if you will instruct me as to what kind of role you would like me to do.
Intelligence occult?
Okay. So let's see. So I'm definitely banking on my intelligence at this point because I'm only dabbling in the occult. So
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in total. When my speciality in research, actually no, it wouldn't, because I'm not.
It wouldn't count because you're not doing the research right now.
Yeah.
It would count if you were going to go off and look for information later, but not right now.
Fair enough. I get 1.
You've heard of some monsters that drink blood. You don't know a great deal of details about them, but you've heard of them. And other monsters that eat flesh, but surely there'd be tooth marks if that was the case.
And there definitely isn't any striation of any kind.
Nope, it is eerily smooth.
And upon seeing Christian, Roger will look very grave and just say very quietly, I presume you found pretty much the same upstairs?
Yes, it's quite worrying how talented this particular individual is. Though the motive operandum of these murders is quite different. I mean, I
The,
don't presume these are prostitutes. He kicks at her foot idly.
please, sir, please show some care for the dead.
I apologize. I'm just frustrated.
I understand. What all is upstairs? May I examine it?
Much of the same, but in greater decay. Which means that this person's been doing it for some time, unnoticed.
It it would also suggest that perhaps they killed the occupants of the house upstairs and were using the house as a gathering ground even for a short time.
There's a nursery upstairs, but it's untouched.
A nursery. Um may I please recommend that we get a dog on the scent of the child at once? We might be able to find him or her if we act now.
I need some information. The police will know who lived in this house. It will give us a better scope.
Indeed, but if we can get on the scent of the child's welfare is also important.
There's a
Christian.
knock at the door
Yeah. Christian turns.
because conveniently, I think now would be a good time for your constable friend to arrive.
Mhm.
Not the one that you sent to the police station, the one that was at Christian's house earlier.
Yeah.
But why the organs? Why specifically the liver, the heart?
Good evening, sirs.
Good evening.
Sir.
What do we know about the people that own this house, Constable?
The house is owned by Mr. and Mrs. Jacobson.
Mhm.
It appears Mrs. Jacobson took their daughter and the nanny to the seaside for the daughter's health. She has a breathing condition that is exacerbated by the city.
I see.
Whereas the Mr. Jacobson remained at home.
What was his occupation?
He was a stable master, a veterinarian of horses.
Interesting. Do we know the identities of any of these parts?
It is believed that at least some of them are likely to belong to Mr. Jacobson. Beyond that, we've been unable to ascertain much as yet.
Are there any missing person reports in the city? 4 men.
He gives you a look as if to say, are you being serious?
Sir, this is no laughing matter.
No, not in a funny way, more in a, are you serious? There's always missing person reports.
Well, I'm trying to work out what...
I'll gather them together, sir.
Thank you. I'm just trying to see if there might be any link between Mr. Jacobson and these other men.
If might I suggest that we canvass the neighborhood and ask the neighbors if they've noticed um any individuals that do not match familiar family members or family friends.
Good idea, Mr. Crispin. Would you like to begin by asking about Mr. Jacobson's behaviors recently?
I will do so, provided that a constable comes with me, as I'm a QC. I do not quite have the same authority as a constable.
I don't have the same authority as Constable at all, but it seems I've been paramount in these matters. He smiles slightly.
The constable will give you both a nod and say, "I'm at your service, sirs."
Thank you, sir. If you'll please accompany me, and he'll go about asking about the neighborhood, trying to build a profile of Mr. Jacobson, as as well as if anyone has seen anyone out of the ordinary that is not familiar.
Um, you'll hear that whilst they don't like to talk about it, a few of the people in the street have noticed Mr. Jacobson's tendency to gain female company when his wife is absent.
I see.
And that there was a young lady who was seen coming and going, occasionally with other gentlemen, but he was also known to play cards and generally enjoy himself in his wife's absence,
How
which
how
was relatively frequent because of their daughter's illness.
how often would you say this was?
About 3 times a year.
If I might also inquire, the young lady that was with him most recently, have you seen her before? Is she a regular?
No, it was always a new girl. Always, every time.
Um, I would like to roll a charisma. Excuse me a second. A charisma. Um, Expression roll. Using my specialty in oration to both praise and encourage the neighbors for their good service, and to not be afraid to share any further information with either the good constable or Mr. Chris, or excuse me, Mr. Fortescue. Um, if if anything else might be pressing as
Well,
as
make a roll, see how you
oh,
do.
okay. With my luck lately, I'm yeah, I think I will. I'm going to spend another willpower point.
3 successes.
3. Yep. So it's fairly
One of
rousing.
one of the boys, a young lad, that seems like he seems like he's something of a gopher. You know, they'll send him out to clean. He'll clean the boots. He'll do this, do that, do the other thing. He'll comment, but this this particular young lady looked a lot better than his usuals.
Did she now?
She seemed better dressed too. Thought maybe he'd come into some money or something, won on the cards and was splashing out, but
If you wouldn't mind, young sir, could I inquire of you, and I'll pull out a shilling. Um, might you be able to give a description of the young lady?
I can try.
Excuse me, Constable, do you think you could assist this young man?
He nods.
And I will give the young man a shilling. There's another one in it for you if we catch the rogue. If if you would kindly let the constable know where I might find you, I will keep my promise.
He just gestures to the house behind him.
Very good. And your name, sir?
Peter?
Very nice to meet you, Peter. My name is Roger Crispin. At your service.
Very
Shake
good,
his
sir.
hand. I will leave this area to you, Constable. And I will go and give Christian a heads up.
This time she's described as having long curly blonde hair, um, deep dark eyes, and well, the constable's not sure whether the young boy is exaggerating through lust or not, but rather ample
Is this a drawing,
descriptions.
or is he just describing her?
He's describing her to the constable, and the constable will be making a rough sketch, but yes.
And Roger will have come by to give you a heads up on what he's found out.
The description doesn't really match the description of the first one. Not least because this just seems they've seen men going in. They haven't seen one man going in repeatedly. I've only seen the one lady going in repeatedly. And the first one was a man and a woman. Also, this woman doesn't sound. I mean, it could be the same person, but doesn't sound very similar. So if it is the same person, she's changed her appearance.
As far as the tactic, it kind of reminds me of if you'll pardon me, it's like a fishing rod. Maybe if they are connected, the gentleman will send her out to lure people in where they do these things. shouldn't be too difficult to change one's appearance with a wig or something. In his head or magic, as the case may be. He says that in his head, hence the fingers.
Christian is listening along, and then he says, "Thank you for your help," sort of in the background, before turning to Mr. Crispin and he'll say, "I have one place that I would like to visit with this sketch."
Would you like me to accompany you?
I would. You're a man of moral character, are you not, Mr. Crispin? A good Christian man.
I strive to be, but God only knows.
This particular place that I'm going to take you is not a place for good Christian men.
What should I expect?
Expect the unexpected. He reaches for the constable's pad. No offence, constable, but I think that if we turned up with you, they might be worried that we're raiding them.
He nods and hands the pad over.
I will return any additional information I have to the police chief at the end of the evening.
Very good, sir. What would you like done with the scene?
I think it needs to be catalogued and the body parts collected. But kept an eye on just in case whoever this person is comes back for something.
It seems unlikely. It's possible, but it seems unlikely, seeing as the Mrs. came home this morning and found this.
Oh dear.
We've had a constable outside the place all day.
Oh
If she's
dear.
coming back, then she likely would have already been scared off.
Alright. Very well.
We can keep an eye on the place if you'd still like, sir, but...
Have we lost Lisa?
don't know. Has your mic become disconnected again? Because we can't hear you.
Officer, if I might suggest, for the good mother's safety and the safety of the child, why not leave your officer here for another 24 hours? There you go. You're back now.
We certainly can do, but she won't be coming back here. Not that one.
The mother.
Yeah, took one look at the place, ran down to the police station screaming her head off. Not that I blame her. And said that she's going to move back in with her. She's going to move back in with her elderly mother for a few weeks until this place is sorted out, and even then, she's thinking of finding a place elsewhere. Of
Most of it.
course, she very much wants to know for certain if her husband is among those present. But given the state of the place, she won't be coming back anytime soon.
Let's finish up with Lisa quickly so that she can excuse herself.
Yep.
Hello.
But yeah, at least after all the of me putting the nursery in there, the child's fine. She wasn't home.
Uh,
So, have we got anything else? Anything else planned for the scene?
I might, but why don't we do the follow-up?
Hello? Oh, there we go.
Hello.
I
There you
think
are.
we're going to have to do a follow-up scene to this because I don't think we've got time now.
Fair enough.
It's run on a bit longer than I planned. I was
Okay.
planning on going to the to my herd / brothel and doing the end of the scene there, but I just don't think we have time.
Okay.
Um,
I'd like to say congratulations to your friend, though.
No, she means due to arrive at her place. Vicky's her girlfriend.
Oh, sorry.
No, I do get why you were confused there.
yeah, I get why you were confused there. No, she's supposed to be arriving at my house, and what happens is she'll arrive at my house.
I'm going to
there
end
we
the
go.
scene here, and then we will
Yeah,
carry on.
Okay.
Yeah, I've totally
Okay.
forgot we're still live. Okay, this scene will be to be continued.